Hi there, my name is Kelly Rossouw, and in this video we're going to go over how to make some super fun spring bunny hint hunt flags. Now this is a great project for those of you that are relatively new to cardstock crafts, but also as a project that you can sell around Easter time. You can put together a super fun packet of bunnies, flags, fun sayings on them, and sell them to people in your area, as not only am I giving you the designs, but also the license to use them for commercial use up to 1,000 copies. So be sure to look down below for my free downloadable file, and included in that will you get all 4 of my bunnies, both with tabs and without tabs, as well as 20 different sayings that you can put on 2 different flag types. So we're going to get started with this video, and the first thing we're going to do is very simply upload all of the elements into Cricut Design Space. So you're going to need to download the zip file down below, extract it and save all of those SVGs to your computer. Then in Cricut Design Space we're going to click on Upload, Upload Image. And I like having the file open on my screen so that I can just drag them into Design Space. So I'm going to just click on the first one and drag it into Design Space. Because it's an SVG file, we don't need to do anything else to it, so I'm just going to click Upload. I'm then going to continue with uploading each of the elements to Cricut Design Space and just clicking Upload. And once you've uploaded all of the files to Design Space, we're going to select them all underneath the recent uploads and click Add to Canvas. I'm going to zoom out so that I can change the sizing of these. And here's where you can decide whether you want to manually add tabs onto the bunnies or whether you want to use the tabs in the places that I have placed them. It's completely up to you. I'm going to use the ones that already have tabs on them, as it's just a little bit less work. So I'm going to delete the ones without tabs on them and leave this one. With those bunnies selected, I'm going to change the sizing of them. So I want the sizing to be the maximum size that I can make these bunnies. So with the bunnies selected, I'm going to select the numbers in the height column and change that to 29.2 centimeters or 11.5 inches. The next thing we need to do with the bunnies is change the score lines. So in the layers panel on the right hand side of the screen, we can see that each bunny has a little line with it. So we're going to hold Shift on our keyboard and select each of those lines. Once you have all of them selected, we're going to come over to the Operations section and click the drop down where it says Basic Cut and change that to Score. I'm then also going to ungroup the bunnies, as we need to make sure that they are attached and not grouped together. There are 2 groups of bunnies, so there's the one on the right and then there's the one on the left. And those I'm going to keep separate as they will fit perfectly on a sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, so we want to attach them separately. So we can just click on them and just click Attach. Next, we need to decide what size you want the banners to be. And this is completely up to you, depending on how visible you want your banners to be. So I'm also going to ungroup these, and all of the score lines on these ones are selected in one group together. So we can just select that group. Again, go to the Operations section and click on the drop down under Basic Cut and change that to Score. You can also then ungroup the score lines and attach each banner to its own score line by just selecting it on your canvas. That's the easiest way to do it, because that way you can change the size of the banners individually, especially if you want maybe the ones that are going to be further at the back of the garden to be a little bit bigger. It's completely up to you. And then we look at the actual words that are going to be going onto the actual banners. So I'm going to make those a bit bigger. Again, I'm going to ungroup them, but before deselecting anywhere, I'm going to click under the Basic Cut section again, as we want to change the operation from Basic Cut to Right. So we're going to click that drop down and change it to pen. And you'll see it doesn't really change very much because the font that I've used in this is specifically designed for single line sketch. So it will draw the outline, but it'll be right on top of each other. So it'll look really nice. And just in case you want to maybe personalize it a little bit more and change some of the words that I've used, the font that I've used here is Bella Font Sketch, and I got it from the Silhouette Design Store, and I will leave a link to that just in case you want to use this exact font as well. So now what we're going to do is use some of these lines and put them onto our flags. So I want to add Getting Warmer, and the flags are in front of the text. So I'm going to select each of the flags, right click, and send it to the back so that when I see the text, I can actually see it on top of the flags, which is perfect. And I'm going to use some of them and just line up the text onto the flags, maybe reducing the size a little bit so that it fits everything on the right hand side of the score line, as that is what's going to be folded around our little peg. And because I'm not using any of these for now, I'm going to highlight them all, group them, and hide that group so that they don't start writing on the canvas. Now I'm going to zoom in and make sure that everything that I've written is nicely lined up on my flags. And once I'm happy with how the flags look, I'm going to select both of the elements and click Attach. And I'm going to do that for each one of the flags that I have. Of course, you can duplicate the flags and have as many flags as you want with any one of the 20 different sayings that I've included in this pack. I'm going to move them closer together so that we don't waste space. I'm going to select them all and align them so they all line up on the one side. So I'm going to click Align and Align Left. I reckon we could probably fit one or two more into this pack, so I'm going to make them just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to right click and duplicate the bottom one and make sure that that all fits underneath 29.2 centimeters or 11.5 inches, and it does. So I'm going to add in one of the other lines that we've already hidden. I'm going to ungroup them, take the one out that I like, and replace the Excellent Job with Follow Me. And then once again, highlight all of those, group them, and hide them, just so that they're not on the canvas. And now that you've gotten everything ready, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my project. So I'm going to click Save and title it Bunny Hint Hunt. I always save projects before I make them, as sometimes something goes wrong in the making stage, maybe design space freezes or something like that, and then you lose all of the progress that you've made. So I like to always save my project before I click Make It. I try and get into a habit of doing that so that I don't lose any important work. And I need to make sure to attach all of the flags together before I make it. So then we're going to hit Make. And now we will be able to cut out our bunnies. We will have two mats, so the first mat will look like that, the second mat will look like that, and the third mat will have all of our flags on it. So I'm going to click Continue, connect to my machine, and select the material that I'm going to be cutting. So I like to use cardstock for intricate cuts. It does take a little bit longer to cut on the machine as it does a double pass, but I get much better results and it's much more forgiving than using medium cardstock. The next thing that I'm going to change is under the tools and material. Now I'm using a Cricut Maker, but you can use any one of the Explore or Maker machines for this, so you don't have to worry about not having a scoring wheel. I will end up clicking Edit Tools and changing from the single scoring wheel to the scoring stylus, as there's only 4 very small lines and it's a little bit of a pain to use the scoring wheel for those. So I prefer to use the scoring stylus when I'm using just a few little pieces. And I'm going to click Apply. If you don't have a scoring wheel or a scoring stylus, you can just delete those lines. It's not crucial that you have them scored, it's just a little bit more useful. So if you don't have them, don't worry about it. And from here, I'm going to load up my cardstock, and I've chosen some nice pastel colors. So I'm going to load those up onto a light grip or a standard grip mat and cut them on the machine. When it comes to mat number 3, I'm going to use a nice bold marker pen so that it really stands out for the kiddos to see on their bunny hint hunt. And then we can put everything together. And of course, when working with cardstock on your standard grip mat, always remember to flip your mat over and remove the mat from the cardstock. This mat isn't particularly sticky anymore, it's just sticky enough for cardstock, so I can get away with doing either, but if your mat is relatively new, you will want to remove your mat from your cardstock, because if you don't, your cardstock will curl. And even though we have a very old sticky mat, we still put the cover back on to protect it as best we can. So now we have all of our flags and some of our bunnies, and we can take our kebab sticks and glue them all together. Now this is a very strong embellishment glue that I like to use. It's a South African brand, so you may not have access to this one if you are in the US, but any kind of craft glue should work. I just like to go a little bit overboard with this one. So what I'm going to do is flip one of my banners over and fold it on the score line. Then I'm going to take my glue and glue it over the score line as well as right until the edge of the paper. Then I'm going to take my kebab stick and place it just on the inside of the score line and fold that over so that it lines up, and glue that down. You don't want to have any of the kebab stick sticking out at the top. You just want to have it sticking out at the bottom. And that is the easiest way to then make your flag. And you can then stick this in the ground or use a much larger kebab stick, whatever, maybe a dowel or something like that, that is a little bit bigger, that can stand up higher in the ground. For the bunnies, we're going to do something very similar. But now, of course, this can vary. If you have a dowel, a long dowel, you can put the bunny at the bottom of the dowel with the kebab stick at the top. If you have the shorter kebab sticks, you can use them separately. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're once again going to put glue over the score line and all the way up to the corners. We're going to take our kebab stick, place it on the score line, and fold that over. And then your bunny is going to stand up like that. And of course, we're just going to continue to do the same thing for all of the rest of the flags. You can of course also stick a bunny to a flag. Just make sure to have them both in the same direction, with the tabs on the back and not on the front. For this one, I've included 2 tabs so that it stabilizes. If your dowel or your society stick or your kebab stick is not long enough, you can simply cut off the top tab and only join it on the bottom. And with some fun use of color, you can have your garden ready for your bunny hint hunt in no time at all. I really hope to see you in the YouTube comment sections on some of my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and please share some of the things that you've made in the Facebook group. I cannot wait to see what you have made. I very much appreciate you taking the time out today to craft with me for a little bit. And remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.